Hi, and welcome to Mega Net Gaming. This is take two of my kind of first impression slash review of the game Fungi. Fungi was released on December 27th of 2019 by Nonline Games. At least that's when it was released on Steam, which is the version I played. It's originally for a buy-to-play price of $4.99 on the platform. It's also available on their website as a browser game and mobile. It's an MMO puzzle strategy game. I would call it specifically a reflex focused puzzle game. And the servers closed October 1st, 2020, with no easy way to continue playing the game, considering you need the servers to play it. So let's go into the review, and I'll show some gameplay footage in the background of me trying to play the game well in the meantime. So as far as the graphics go, highly minimalistic graphics. And the sound was quite minimalistic as well. With just little sound effects for when you'd eat a cell or get attacked. Most of them were repeated. But really for the type of game it is, the minimalism isn't a problem. Much like a game like Tetris in the same way, or Columns, or many of those puzzle games of that sort, the minimalism actually helps the game by not adding anything too flashy that interferes with the experience. The focus is solely on the gameplay. And with any massively multiplayer or just multiplayer game in general, the community does drive the experience quite a bit. Especially when it comes to a game that's on the slightly net positive side. A slightly net positive game can easily become a net negative game with a lousy experience with the community, and the reverse is also true. Considering my focus on this channel is usually massively multiplayer, role-playing games, or FPS games, or the occasional graphic adventure, this is quite a bit out of my typical type of game, which actually made it quite a bit of fun to play. It was quite a different change of pace. So, graphics sound very minimalistic but passable. You don't need anything overly complex for this type of game. And wow, what I have on the screen there is how not to play the game, to be honest, but hopefully people recorded. There's lots of pictures on the Steam page still that show screenshots of some quite impressive battles. So it starts off with the tutorial. The tutorial briefly explains how to do the very basic maneuvers in the game, shows you what you should do, shows you how to block, use special abilities, etc. I wouldn't call it a good tutorial, but it offered enough there to learn how to play the game at a basic level. However, when you're put into a match, you're often put up against quite experienced players, and that's where the community, being small, ended up being a benefit to the game, since I got quite a bit of help from the community in my experience, and they realized I was new and making some quite dumb moves. And there was the occasional person that would take advantage of me being new, would take me over quite quickly, but hey, it's a PvP game. Not going to complain about that. I didn't run into a single person that was toxic. So, as far as the game mechanics go, in progression, it's quite simple. You go around, and with your cell, you go and eat other cells. Some of these cells do contain special abilities that you can move from cell to cell in your chain. And you're trying to create a chain that keeps growing and growing. And as it grows, your score will go up. But you need to make sure you have this chain set up in such a way where you can continue growing, as well as defend yourself against other people from overtaking your cells, since a bigger cell can take over your smaller cells. You also want be set up in such a way where if somebody attacks you from one end, you can easily just cut that cell off and hopefully move to a safer location to regroup and then perhaps go on an attack. But yeah, I love the artistic design, and especially the way they do the fog of war type thing where you can't see the whole board. You can only see the areas you have a cell in, plus a little bit of space outside of that. So from your perspective as a player, you have no idea if it could, right outside of where you're at, you could be surrounded by a bunch of different cells ready to overtake you, which added a bit of excitement to the game through the possibility of being overtaken by making just one wrong move. You really have to be on the defensive quite a bit. As far as the game itself, would I recommend it to people? It's very much a niche game. The PvP, minimalistic, reflex-oriented puzzle game is really something that'd be. This game would probably be optimal on a tablet. I don't know. I know quite a few of the people I was playing against seemed to be playing on mobile, from what they were saying, or at least people I talked to that do play the game were playing on mobile. But using mouse does work well enough if you know what you're doing. As far as any end game component, there really isn't an end game here. There's not really a win condition so much as there is you hop into the game and just try to beat your score that you had the last time, or you create objectives for yourself, such as seeing how big of a chain you can create, how much of the map you can overtake, how many people you can overtake. And there was a battle royale mode as well for those seeking to do the mostly PvP combat oriented portion of the game. So it's one of those games where, given a small community being established, there wasn't any bots or any sort of feature like that. You really did have to learn really quick how to play the game to really progress, or you just had to really be into this style of game. So, not a whole lot to say about this game. There's not really any lore behind it. The usual stuff I discuss isn't applicable here. You're a cell that's dividing into other cells with the goal of taking over all the cells on the board, or at least beating your high score. So, would I recommend this game, or what would I personally rate it? Personally, I put it into my C category, which are average games that I would play, but not games I would necessarily seek out. It's definitely playable, it's functional, and for somebody that really enjoys this style of game, it's something I would recommend if it's still online. But it is a niche audience that would enjoy this type of game, and for most people, they'd likely get frustrated or bored quite quickly. Anyway, I hope Nonline goes on to develop a different game, or hopefully this game has the server-side stuff released as open source, or who knows, maybe somebody will develop a community server. It's not going to be me, I just don't have the time for that. And really, my skills are a bit lacking, so I'd need at least some sort of starting project to work from to get started. And that's without knowing exactly what it's coded in as well. But regardless, I hope the indie studio goes on to develop more games. They definitely had a good concept here. It just didn't catch on and didn't reach the niche market it needed to. And I think the initial buy to pay price of $4.99 likely hindered that. But there's also the difficulty in monetizing a game like this as well. But anyway, we'll go ahead and put our ratings up on the screen, our rankings so far. I do have the Will to Live Online review. I need to fix the audio for Cowabunga now be uploaded as episode 4. This is episode 5. Now, the 5 games we played so far, I was the only one that played it before it shut down, which I gave it a C. And that puts it right above the Hammer's End, which was just barely a C for both Meg and I. So it's 4th out of 5, but all 5 of the games so far have ranged from one of the best MMOs of all time to the worst being a game that had a player base. Could have been an enjoyable experience as well. So hope you enjoyed. If you're coming here out of nostalgia, you feel free to check out my other videos. And feel free to critique them and tell me how poorly I was playing the game, because I deserve the criticism. But hopefully I did a little bit of service to help preserve the game. Hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.